Hi, and thank you for tuning into this video. I want to address some of the character assassination attempts that the brainwashed members of the cult of the fraud who calls himself Nityananda have been putting out there into social media to try to embarrass me or humiliate me or make me back down from whistleblowing against this destructive cult, or to kind of convince people that I'm a liar. First and foremost, there is a really ridiculous video that they've made called Sarah versus Sarah. I think it should actually be called Devi versus Swaroopapriya versus Sarah. But in any case, in that video, they've put together a collection of things that I said while I was still brainwashed or while I was still going through deprogramming from the destructive cult mind control, as if those somehow prove that what I've said more recently about the child abuse in Nityananda Gurukul, the sexual abuse by the fraud, and the various ways that that cult is hurting people are untrue. So they are claiming that brainwashing is non-existent, that it's something not scientifically validated or proven, that it's something controversial. I want to just point out here, any group that has to go on social media to say we're not a cult, that's a cult. Any group that says that brainwashing is impossible, that tries to deny the possibility of brainwashing, when that group is being led by a man who has literally bragged that he washes the brains of his disciples, they're brainwashed. Now, I don't feel that the brainwashed members of that destructive cult are my enemies. In fact, I am just waiting for the day when they wake up and realize that they're brainwashed, and realize that they've been lied to and deceived, and realize that they have been pressured into doing illegal online activity like slander, like making libelous false claims against people. They're going to want out of it too. And when they do, I'll be ready, because I'm not holding any animosity against them for the shit they're saying about me, because I know exactly how they feel. And I have similarly said shit about people that I felt I had to in order to protect the leader of that cult, the fraud who's running it. And it's a really crappy place to be in life, where, you know, you feel like you have to fight against the world to push for something to happen when it's never going to happen, because the world doesn't want it to happen. Okay, let me get right into the nitty-gritties, the point-by-point stuff I want to explain here. First, they claim that I'm a Christian missionary paid by the Vatican to destroy Hinduism by doing a character assassination against the fraud who calls himself Nityananda. So no, I'm not a Christian missionary. In fact, when I found this fraud, I was working as a tarot card reader and a crystal energy healer, two things that the Catholic Church calls evil. And, you know, ask anybody in my real life, my family, my friends, they'll tell you I lost faith in the Catholic Church when I was a kid, when I went vegetarian, because the priests and the Catholic school teachers were telling me God put animals on the planet to be eaten. That's when I stopped saying the words of the Mass, even though I had to go to church every Sunday with my Catholic family. That's when I started calling myself an atheist and wearing animal liberation t-shirts and getting piercings because the church didn't like them. So fuck no, I'm not a Catholic missionary. In fact, I got the Trishul tattoo. The Trishul, which is a symbol of Shiva, of the Lord Shiva, and the triple aspect of God as per Hinduism, which is creation, maintenance, and destruction. That represents the ultimate of Hindu philosophy. But a Christian would see this as the pitchfork of Satan and a symbol of ultimate evil. So if I had been a Christian missionary in disguise who infiltrated that organization, there's no way in hell, pardon the expression, that I would have gotten permanently inked in my skin a symbol of something Christians would consider evil. I got this Trishul tattoo, which the fraud Nityananda had instructed all of his disciples to get, because he told us that if we have a Trishul, exactly on this positioning where the wrist meets the hand and there's a nadi, or there's like an energetic stream that runs through the hand. He said that we would bring the blessings of Mahakali, the goddess, and Kalabhairava, the god, and that their power would be there in all of our expressions. Now, in surrender to those Hindu gods, when I believed Nityananda was telling us the truth, I got this tattoo. Again, it's not rocket science here. Nobody who is a Catholic or a Christian, Vatican paid missionary trying to destroy Hinduism would get a Hindu symbol tattooed permanently on their skin. It just wouldn't happen. Also back then, I was regularly making YouTube videos where I was praising Sanatana Dharma, or Hinduism, as the ultimate religion and putting down Christianity. If I was a Christian implant in that cult, I would not have spoken against Christianity. I would have probably tried to stay neutral. There are many people brainwashed in the Nityananda cult who don't shit talk other religions. If I was an implant or a missionary, I would have easily blended in among them. I wouldn't have gone purposely on public record to denounce any other religious group. And why did I get caught up in the Nityananda cult? Because his philosophy was something that resonated with me. What the fraud claimed he was alive and living his mission to do was something I wanted to see fulfilled. He claimed that he was going to bring enlightenment to humanity. He said that he was going to make vegetarianism the prevalent lifestyle on the planet. He said that he's here for ahimsa, which is nonviolence, and to help people awaken and to help people raise their frequency. And those were all things not only that I believed in then, but that I still believe in now. You know, I'm a nerd at heart, so I watch shows like Ancient Aliens, and I'm a big fan of, forbidden archaeology and the ancient history of Earth. I think that that shit is so fascinating. So when this fraud would talk about things like proof of the land bridge that connects South India with Sri Lanka, and that is, physical proof of the Ramayana epic, or when he would talk about the city of Dwarka and that this is proof of Mahabharata, I thought that was fascinating. So in a way, he used my own intellect against me. It's like he was giving us this intellectual candy, saying, I'm here to revive the Vedas and the Agamas and to teach you the lifestyle of enlightenment lived by the ancients. Because I wanted that, I believed he could really make it a reality. In fact, in 2015, when I took the jump to become a monastic member of his order, he actually told me, and I've got witnesses to this, it was on stage while I was a member, a participant of his Inner Awakening program. He told me, come, join my mission, and we will make the world vegetarian together. So he knew that my inner animal rights activist was willing to do whatever it takes to show people, the benefits of vegetarianism. And of course, that's when I started teaching him about veganism and telling him what goes on in dairy farms and how, if you really want to live the life of ahimsa, don't drink cow's milk, or obviously they already don't eat eggs, but I started really preaching veganism to him. I wasn't yet as brainwashed as I became once I really became a monastic member of his order, a brahmacharini, because I still felt my vegan beliefs were superior to his vegetarian beliefs. Now, I don't want to come across as preachy in this video or say you have to be vegan. I'm just saying I can tell how far gone I was by his brainwashing by the fact that my own core belief system started to get replaced by his belief system once I joined his organization. So once I got there physically, the lifestyle that we had to maintain was really strict. 4 a.m. yoga, 6 a.m. worship him, 7 a.m. listen to his discourse. All day long, try to make his impossible instructions into a reality. Then all night long, get yelled at for failing to fulfill his impossible visions for you. Repeat. So every single day We were overworked, underslept, underfed, living on, white rice and runny soup that didn't really have any legumes in it, no protein in our diet, very limited amount of vegetables, hardly any variation. Maybe once in a while we would get beets or kind of mushy carrots, but that was about it. We were not living a lifestyle of enlightenment. We were living the lifestyle of cult slaves. And the way cults will kind of break down a person's inner identity or understanding of life is by telling you your past is irrelevant, your past is redundant. The only reality worth living is the reality formed within that group, given to you by the group leader. And so Nityananda would achieve this by telling us your old name is your old identity given to you by the society of the Maya matrix. So what we consider society, and by we I mean everybody who's not brainwashed and indoctrinated in his cult, your family, your friends, your teachers, your boss or your employees, your neighbors, that society, people in the cult of Nityananda consider to be the Maya matrix. Matrix, literally like the movies about Neo, Maya meaning the Sanskrit word for delusion or illusion. He claimed that everything and everyone that exists outside of his cult is a matrix to trap your consciousness and to keep you bound like a slave to the grid. So he told us the only way to live happy is off the grid, eating organic, non-GMO, sattvic food, which is great. I mean, I'm all for it. If anybody out there is living off the grid with sattvic, vegetarian, non-GMO, vegan food, growing your own vegetables, that's fucking awesome. Like, that's the best thing. However, if you get lured to move to the Nityananda ashram in Bidadi because this fraud tells you that that's the only place on the planet where you're going to get non-fluoridated water and non-GMO organic food, then there's something a little wrong because it's a bait and switch. Like, he tells people living with him is the ultimate freedom. However, once you get there, it's the most restrictive, confining, hierarchical structure you can ever imagine. At least in the so-called Maya matrix of the Western world, even if you have a job and you're working for another employer, at the end of the day, you get to go home. And once you go home, you can turn off your phone if you want to. You can draw, you can read, you can play with your pets, you can call your friends, you can go out to a restaurant, you can eat what you want, you can think what you want, you can do what you want. When you're living in a cult structure, specifically if you're living in the Nityananda cult, you are on call 24/7 and you have no right to say no if anything is asked of you. So imagine you're working for a bully boss and you live at your workplace. There is no such thing as going home. The majority of us who were there at the time when I was in that cult had beds in a 1,000-bed dorm. So that means there's no wall, there's no barrier, there's no privacy, there's no personal space. There's just you on a bed in the middle of a room with 500 other people constantly around you all the time. And you might have been up for the last 42 hours. You finally put your head down on a pillow to get some rest. And somebody bursts into that room yelling, "Swamiji is calling everyone to a meeting now." You can't say, "No thanks, I'm going to sleep this one through. I'm tired." Fuck no, people are pulling you by your hair to get out of bed and go to that damn meeting. You cannot say no. Once you get there, the guru might instruct you to create 10 fake accounts on Facebook and give death threats to his enemies. And you can't say, "No thanks, I don't feel like doing that. That strikes me as unethical," because you will be browbeaten and told, "Where's your devotion? Don't you want dharma to beat the adharma? Don't you want goodness to destroy evil?" If you don't create these fake accounts and start yelling at these people and cursing these people, then you're not really here for enlightenment. Get lost. You don't deserve to be alive. They would regularly tell us things like, if an outsider who has never met Nityananda before makes a mistake, it's okay because they don't know any better. But if you make a mistake knowing that the avatar is alive and in form, then it's inexcusable because you do know better. So we were being held to the crazy standard of his concept of perfection. And if we fell short of that, we would be brought into something called completion, where we would have to get talked at by people pointing out all of our character flaws until we finally acquiesced and accepted that yes, we were flawed. And then the way that we would get complete, quote unquote, is by surrendering again to the feet of the fraud. So dropping our whole identity at his feet and once again kind of inscribing into ourselves the concept that we are nothing but his extension. And so what he wants done, that's what we do. What he wants us to think, that's what we think. What he wants us to believe, that's what we believe. Anything less than being his complete mind-controlled slave was unacceptable. And so when there's a character assassination attempt against me now, you'll hear a lot of people brainwashed in his cult saying, you know, back when Sarah was here, she slept all the time. So she wasn't really dedicated to him because he wants us to manifest kutakesha, the power to go beyond sleep. The reality is, I slept less than 2 hours a night in my physical bed. And that means I was so sleep deprived that when I sat down to do my work, I looked like a narcoleptic. I would sometimes fall asleep strewn across my desk trying to keep up with his social media demands on me. A lot of them will say that I was full of incompletions. What does that mean? That means in meetings once in a while, I would say, hey, I think we should stop yelling at people when they're new. I think we should give people proper medical attention. Can we have some beans to go with our rice? Like, incompletion meant I had questions that disagreed with the general abusive surroundings I was trapped in. The incompletion also means when my 6-month visa ran out, I always wanted to come back to my hometown to see my mother and to see my family because I missed them. And, you know, something about the extremist exclusion of everything that's not the cult never sat well with me. I still wanted to hold on to my previous identity. And that's something that I think was my saving grace and why I was able to deprogram from that cult mind control, because I felt that there was something of value in existence outside of the cult. Now, when they make videos like this Sarah versus Sarah, that I think should actually be called Devi versus Swaroopapriya versus Sarah, all that they're really showing is that when I was still brainwashed, I was defending that guru just like all the rest of them do. And when I finally escaped the cult and started living in Canada once again, while I was going through the deprogramming process, I still had a lot of fear because they plant mystical fear in people the same way, you know, Christian evangelicals will plant the fear of fire and brimstone or the fear of hell. Nityananda had convinced all of us that if we ever spoke against him, we were committing a sin called Guru Droha. And that Guru Droha, or going against the Guru, means you will never realize enlightenment for thousands of lifetimes to come. We were told that's the greatest sin, worse than murder, worse than suicide, worse than mass murder, worse than anything else. And so I was genuinely shit scared. I didn't want to be a Guru Drohi. I didn't want to be cursed. I didn't want to bring a curse on my family. So while I was still deprogramming from the cult abuse, I realized fully kids in that Gurukul school had been beaten because the 2 kids in Toronto, the 2 American kids who were there in Toronto manifesting fake powers, told me that they were abused. But I wasn't ready to completely go against the fraud and bring that to the public, because part of me was still hearing the cult rhetoric. For example, Balananda, one of the ladies who was there with me in Toronto, when she heard the kids cry and say that they were all forced to beat each other, you know, afterwards she said to me, how is Swamiji testing us through this? Why did he make us hear about their beatings? Why did he make them beat each other? So she was basically saying, he's testing our devotion. We have to get through this and prove our devotion. When I told her about the sexual abuse I had experienced, she immediately said that could be his Leela. Avatars, as per Hinduism, will put on divine plays. So falsely believing that this fraud was an avatar, a lot of his brainwashed disciples, even if they know that his sex tape with Ranjita is real, which it is, even if they know Aarti Rao's rape allegations against him are real, which they are, even if they see him beat somebody with a stick until that person bleeds, the way Joanna Lasoka described in her video, even when they know he's an abusive freaking tyrant running a scam, conning people, they will defend it because they believe he is above the law and irreproachable. They believe that he is an avatar of Lord Shiva, and as such, human laws of decency and ethics and right and wrong don't apply to him. If they see him beat somebody, they will say he's taking away their karma. There was an incident in Sadashivoham, one of his overpriced December programs, where somebody gave him a bow and arrow as a gift, and he shot an arrow from the stage into the crowd, and it fucking hit a girl in the head. And what happened? Did he apologize to her? Did people say Swamiji made a mistake? No. They said, wow, she's so lucky. He's taken away her karma by shooting her with this arrow. Basically, there's nothing he can do, and there's nothing people can say that will make his brainwashed followers understand the gravity of his criminal activity. He ran away from a court case and he's hiding in Ecuador because he's afraid of conviction. However, he has bamboozled all of them to believe that his life is in danger because he's being persecuted. He claims that he's the reviver of Hinduism. I just want to point out here how anti-Hindu he is. Hinduism does not need a rapist, child pornographer, absconder to revive it. Hinduism existed long before he was born. It will exist long after he dies. He is a nothing, but he has convinced people that he's the one who can enlighten them. And they're afraid that if they even listen to what whistleblowers like me are saying, that equates Guru Droha, and they lose their full investment in him. So one of the character assassination attempts by Jordan Kramer, aka Sri Nithyananda, aka the blissful athlete, aka the biggest fucking moron, if you listen to what this poor brainwashed dude is saying. I didn't want to make this personal and go after individuals, but I really feel that his delusions are starting to border on criminal. Like the way he defends this fraud and the way he's attacking me. By now, he should have seen enough evidence to understand that what I'm saying is true. But he's fighting against me as if I'm an enemy, which I'm not. And that's why, I'm sorry. I don't mean to criticize this poor guy. He is a nice guy in my experience. But his mind has been so taken over by the fraud that he no longer thinks independently. What he's told to think, he thinks. What he's told to do, he does. He was in Ecuador with his wife Jillian, so they know damn well where this absconder is hiding out. And that makes them accomplices. They helped aid and abet a criminal. So he made a video about me showing, from 2012, when I knew this person called Ralph Appearski, who claims to be a Catholic bishop. At that time, Nityananda had blessed Ralph Appearski on Facebook. Nityananda had told our mutual friend Jasmine Glow, who at that time was Ma Nitya Vibhuti, the Mahant of Slovakia, he told her to make Ralph part of Sangha. And he told her, to work with him. And when Ralph sent Nityananda a Facebook message saying, I want to make Ma Nitya Sudevi the head of my mission, what did Nityananda reply? He gave a thumbs up and said blessings. And so I got pulled into this other pseudo cult while I was in the Nityananda cult, believing that my guru wanted me to be there. That's why all those stupid pictures that Drida shows in his video of me with that bishop, that's why it happened. It was 2012. I was a full-on Hindu. I didn't want to believe in Catholicism. I was totally against Christianity, but I got caught up in that because Nityananda gave a stupid mixed message to Vibhuti and me, telling us to do it. Once I realized that Ralph had his own agenda, that he was telling me I was the mother of unity and that I was supposed to unite all the different, sects of Christianity, I realized I don't want this. And I left his silly one and God cult, and I denounced it publicly on Facebook and on YouTube. I deleted anything that I had connected to him. I rewrote the Free Yourself book without that crazy shit at the end that was Bishop Ralph's edition, not mine. So for Drida to put that into a video, saying that I'm a Christian missionary and that I'm doing a U-turn back to Christianity, I just want to say the only allegiance I have ever had with Christianity since I first denounced the Catholic Church when I was 8 years old and went vegetarian and thought, well, this is bullshit. I don't believe in the Bible if the Bible says kill and eat animals. The only connection I've had with Christianity since then was a total confusion based on something that Nityananda said while I was brainwashed by him. So yeah, Nityananda's brainwashing is the only thing that led me into that Catholic excursion. Now, when I became a brahmacharini, when I took the initiation to join Nityananda's monastic order in 2015, everybody there knew about my history with Bishop Ralph. And I even told Swamiji, as I called him then, Swamiji, I made this mistake. I believed you blessed it. And he laughed and said it's part of the Leela. And so I was complete about it because he made me be complete about it. I think now they probably gather dirt and, silly evidence against everybody who's there. So that if those people leave, they'll do a character assassination and say, look at how stupid this person is, or look at this mistake this person did, or wow, they must be a Christian implant paid by the Vatican. In reality, it's just their bullshit. And, they can speak really articulately about it. They can make it sound really convincing. They can show you pictures from 6 years ago as if those pictures are recent and say, look what this person is doing. But at the end of the day, it is just their lie. They are bending the truth to suit the narrative they want people to believe because it's too hard for them to admit the reality that they've invested time, devotion, and belief into a fraudulent organization that's using them. So Jordan and Jillian, I say to you once again, please wake up. Nityananda is not Sadashiva incarnate. He is a guy from Tiruvannamalai named Rajashekaran who lied to you and told you that he is Paramahamsa Nityananda or Nityananda Paramashivam. He is, in fact, a criminal. He's a rapist. He's a liar. He mind-fucked you, and you think I'm the enemy, but very soon you're gonna realize that him forcing kids to beat each other until they bleed and cry is wrong. Lord Shiva would not come down in form and abuse people. If Lord Shiva came down out of compassion, he wouldn't pose on stage with a green screen behind him showing all kinds of mystical imagery, posing like a freaking supermodel on a catwalk, for these narcissistic pictures of himself that he floods on the internet to make people captivated by his appearance. If Lord Shiva came down in human form out of compassion for humanity, he would have given blessings to his disciples. And if anybody left him, he wouldn't curse them. He wouldn't do a character assassination against them. In fact, if he had been Lord Shiva in form, I would never have become a whistleblower against his organization because I would still be serving his mission. I wanted the revival of Hinduism. I still want Hinduism to be seen for the glory that it is. I still go to temples. I still have this Trishulam on my hand. I still keep murtis in my house because I think they're beautiful. And that ancient Vedic culture is wonderful. Yoga is very beneficial to human health. No doubt, I still do yoga. The Agama scriptures give some awesome advice for living your life. Why not follow them? I have nothing against it. I am pro-Hindu, but I am anti-cult. So the other character assassination attempts they're doing against me, Sundareshwara and Priyamaya, two brainwashed followers of Nityananda in their early 20s, are claiming that when they were kids, I sexually assaulted them. They made that claim a couple of days after I blew the whistle on Nityananda's abuse of Gurukul kids. So what they're trying to say is, no, he's not abusing kids, she is. It's the typical, no, I'm not, you are response. The fact that they're claiming that I'm a cult leader, they call me cult leader Dirty Laundry, which is a play on my name of Landry. Recently, Nyanatma even had the audacity to criticize my mother, my mom, for being a single mom. She single mom shamed her and said, maybe if your daughter had had a father growing up, her life wouldn't be such a mess now. My mom's pretty cool. She wasn't even hurt by it. She just said, hey, my daughter's life's not a mess. At least she's not living illegally in Ecuador with a child abuser, rapist who's hiding from the law. Your life is a mess. But in fact, I find it really disturbing that these people claim to be enlightened, but all they really do is use social media to try to destroy their critics. And I see a day coming soon when people like Shri Shivagnana and Ma Shivagnana, the parents of Yogamata, are going to have to own up to the fact that the Houston temple is involved in some kind of illegal money laundering. Shri Muktananda and Ma Muktika, who have two sons of their own who they never put in that Gurukul, are going to have to admit that Gurukul is not the ultimate education. If it was, these two Mahants or Shri Mahants of the organization definitely would have put their kids into it. If they are such devout disciples of this fraud, why did they never actually take their family into his cult? What do they know that they're not telling the public? Ma Nitya Atmadayananda from London, she's the one who didn't let me call parents when Gurukul kids told me they'd been beaten. She stopped me from calling the police. This woman enabled child abuse. So she goes on social media and shows inbox messages from me from a couple years ago where I'm saying I don't like the morning routine and I feel like we're too controlled here, and says, look, this one never had integrity to the master. Who the fuck wants integrity to that criminal? It's a good thing that I didn't have integrity to him. That's how I got out of the brainwashing. And so when these people are constantly, and I mean constantly, sending me death threats, ill wishes, cursing me, calling me a demon, calling me dirty laundry, accusing me of being a Vatican paid Christian missionary, anti-Hindu, all they're really doing is spewing that venom and proving that they are brainwashed and in a cult. If they weren't brainwashed and in a cult, they would see somebody leave and let it be. They would hear somebody pointing out the various illegal activity of that guru, and they would investigate instead of flat out denying and refusing to even consider it as a possibility. These people know he's a criminal. They know he's a rapist. They know the kids were forced to beat each other. They know Janardana Sharma is a good guy and was very devout to that guru. Janardana Sharma, he's a man who dedicated himself completely to the Nityananda cult. I used to see, back when my bedroom was off Nityananda's courtyard, kind of behind his swing, I would see Janardhan sitting with him late into the night, pushing him on his swing. Like he was dedicated to that master, that fraud who calls himself a master. The fact that they're now trying to do a character assassination against him shows they will literally attack anyone who leaves that cult and tries to speak out and tries to make some good happen. He's not an anti-Hindu. He was a born Hindu. He named his daughters after the Shri Vidya. He is a devoted member of Dharma. And I really believe that soon it's going to be known everywhere that Nityananda is a fraud, that this Rajashekaran is a cult leader and a criminal. He is going down. He will be arrested. He will be brought to justice. He will be convicted for his various crimes. The girls who were underage, who he forced to send nude photos of themselves, who were afraid to speak out against him, please, my little sisters, don't be afraid. He can't hurt you. There's no such thing as Guru Droha. He has committed Chela Droha. He has hurt the people who put their blind faith into him. But don't worry. He will be convicted. Don't be afraid to give an affidavit to the court. Don't be afraid to report him. He hurt you deliberately. He tried to control you. He tried to make you subservient to him. He wants to take and take and take. He wants sexual favors from his disciples. He wants money from his disciples. He wants a lifelong service like an indentured slave from his disciples. Your life is worth more than that. And to the people doing the character assassination, this isn't about me. This isn't about you. This is about right and wrong. And even though you've been mind-fucked to believe there's no such thing as right and wrong, and even though you have been told that as long as you do what your guru tells you to do, that's dharma, it's not true. Dharma is dharma. Truth is truth. What the guru tells you, and you know it's a blatant lie, him being the one who tells you that lie doesn't make that lie into truth. A lie is always a lie. Truth is always a truth. Well, truth is going to prevail over lies. Light will prevail over darkness. Divinity will prevail over evil. I'm not the one who's evil here. Evil is somebody who is committing crimes, lying about it, physically being violent towards people, responsible for the deaths of people. I mean, fucking read the stuff that's written in the petition against Nityananda. It's well compiled by people who know the ins and outs of his illegal activities and the various court orders against him. He's a racketeer, he's a rapist, he's a child pornographer, he's on the run, but he will be found and brought to justice. Whether you wake up now or later is up to you, but you will eventually wake up. And when you do, go see a therapist. Go see somebody who's trained in dealing with cult abuse and who can help you deprogram. You need psychological intervention, and my prayers for your recovery are here. You guys aren't my enemies. You have been hurt, you are being hurt, and you are being used to attack somebody who wants to see your life get back on track. I don't want you to go down with his ship. I don't want all of my old friends to be thrown into prison for aiding and abetting a criminal. Ideally, I would see Vanessa Pena, who is Ma Nitya Yogananda Swami. I would love to see her teaching yoga in Miami again, living with her family, being happy, not a brainwashed, submissive servant to this person hiding out in Ecuador. Nobody wants to be a whistleblower. If you hear Edward Snowden, like when he got involved with the CIA, he was an American nationalist. He believed in his country's goodness. He didn't want to believe that there was surveillance on individuals and that people were being spied on through their iPhones. He didn't blow the whistle because he hates his country. He blew the whistle because he found out there was shit going on behind the scenes that he felt it was his duty to others to inform them. Guys, you should know this is going on. Similarly, I believed in the fraud who calls himself Nityananda. I got the Trishul tattooed in my skin. That alone should stand as proof that I was never a spy who wanted to bring him down. I didn't try to murder him with organic Canadian chocolate the way some have alleged. I ate the chocolate too. When before I was in Kavi, I brought some chocolate bars back as a gift to him. My mom bought them actually. That organic Canadian chocolate that was sugar-free and non-GMO, They're claiming that that was poisoned and I was a CIA agent hired to murder him. That's also ridiculous bullshit. I'm not Opus Dei, I'm not CIA, I'm not Catholic. You know, Mahavidya claims I'm being funded by the Illuminati. If I was being funded by the Illuminati, don't you think I'd be sitting in some luxury place, not an apartment furnished with like one lamp and one couch? Like, wake the fuck up, people. You're being lied to. I make all of these videos, I do all of my research, I talk to other victims, I deprogram, and just with the little earnings I make from my Etsy shop, and I really hope that others who are being abused by that cult will wake up fast. So on that note, one thing that I'm going to start reviving on my YouTube channel is talking about crystals and gemstones anymore. Is it magical thinking, or do they really have energies? Quite frankly, at this point, I don't care. I just love gemstones and I love crystals. The ones I'm wearing in this video today are called Larimar. It's a stone that a lot of people call it the stone of the sea because it has this like beautiful sea blue color to it. This bracelet in particular I think is just stunning with rainbow moonstone and Larimar. Why I chose this gem today specifically is that it forms under extreme heat and pressure, subterranean, in volcanic activity. So this stone is created in underground volcanic fire, and it gets pushed to the surface with lava and is found just on the beaches of a beautiful tropical island in the Caribbean. And to me, that just symbolizes at this point coming through a trial by fire, but landing on the shores of a beautiful beach. Basically, that as long as you're ready to go through whatever fire you're being challenged with, whatever test you're being given, if you stand that test, you'll make it to the best possible place. Everything's gonna be all right. And yeah, it's said to be a stone of the goddess. It's said to be water element and help you go with the flow in life. Whether or not you believe in those mystical qualities and energy properties, it's definitely a stone that has gone from fire to water, from volcano to beach. And if you feel like life is putting you through that fire and through that pressure, having this kind of beautiful gem, and it's very rare, it's found only on one Caribbean island in the entire planet. It's only found in that one place, so it's a really cool, rare stone. If you also enjoy that kind of symbology, I've made a lot of pieces using this gem in the last couple of days, because that's the energy I want to connect with right now. So I'll put the link to my Etsy shop in the description below. Just because I'm feeling it today, if you buy anything from my shop and mention that, I'll make a little talisman as a gift just for you using one of these little Larimar beads. They're expensive beads, so that's a good gift. Don't pass it up. And yeah, if you've got any questions about this or about other subject matter, you're welcome to leave them below, and I'll answer them either in writing or in an upcoming video. And I've also started a Patreon account, so I'll put a link to that in the video description right under my Etsy shop link. Yeah, I've done all of these videos for free. Up till now, I've usually paid my internet bill through Google AdSense, but I have been hit by the adpocalypse and almost all of my videos got demonetized. So even though people claim that I make a lot of money through YouTube, it's not true. It's never been true. I never made a lot of money. The little money I used to make, I now make even less now. So whoever wants to join on Patreon, I thank you in advance. And yeah, I'll look into what kind of exclusive content I can give to patrons. I'm thinking something along the lines of once a month, I'll do like a Zoom call Q&A session just for patrons. I'll give you announcements about the book that I'm writing, maybe some sneak previews and free chapters and stuff. And if you know about Patreon, it's new to me. I just joined it because a few people suggested it when I told them that I might not be able to make so many regular videos anymore because, quite frankly, I have made, investigation into other victims of Nityananda a full-time but unpaid job. So, you know, kind of to support that work that I'm doing, people suggested I join Patreon, but I'm new to the platform, so I'm open to suggestions for how to use it. And anyhow, thank you to those of you who have stuck with me through all of these character assassinations. Thank you to those who have woken up from the cult and who are also speaking out. Thank you to the other victims in advance for your bravery to also go to the police. We can't take down a criminal when only 2 of his victims are willing to file police reports. We need more. And so I hope others will get the courage and understand there's no reason to fear Guru Droha, because he's not a real guru. He is a fraud. And there's no reason to fear his character assassination, because the most it can do is make you look bad to people who are still brainwashed. You know, sticks and stones can break our bones, but names will only make the ones calling them look like cheap assholes. So don't worry about that. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.